everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I achieved this really colorful, bold summer makeup look using the new Urban Decay Born to Run eyeshadow palette. So if you're interested in seeing how to get this look, then please keep on watching. This isn't going to be a full face tutorial. I'm really focusing on the eyes, but I did zoom you in pretty close as I usually do. I already have my foundation on when the video starts. And then at the end, I do show you how I applied my blush and my lips. This lip is actually part of the Born to Run collection as well. Well, at least the lipstick is. I did put a gloss on top. So I'm going to jump right into the tutorial, and then I'm going to give you, after that, kind of my first impressions. I do give you a little bit of, my thoughts as I use the palette in the tutorial, but at the end is kind of where I'll sum it all up. I'm not calling this a review simply because I haven't had the palette long enough to really establish a true opinion on it. I just received this palette in the mail yesterday from Urban Decay, and if you saw my Instagram story, you will have seen how freaking excited I was to receive a PR package from Urban Decay. I know people out there think that somebody with close to 50,000 subscribers is probably getting a ton of PR, and that's not true at all. I honestly do not know how these companies decide who to send stuff to. I think they focus a lot more on Instagram success than they do on YouTube. So that's just what I'm hearing, and going to different events now, that's what I'm hearing. So anyway, I was ecstatic. My kids and my husband thought I was like crazy. They're like, why are you getting so excited? It's makeup. They clearly don't understand how exciting it is to be doing YouTube for 3 years and to start receiving packages from such an amazing company. So I did receive this in PR, but if you're new to my channel, if you've been in my channel, you know that I'm always 100% honest about everything I present to you guys, and I'm gonna be 100% honest with my thoughts on this today. So, all right, I guess I didn't jump right into this tutorial like I said I would. Apparently I had more to say than I thought, but let's get to it right now. All right, let's get into this. I already have my foundation on and one eye done, and my brows are done. And now I am going to go and carve out my brow using concealer. This one is the All Hours concealer. And then I'm gonna take a little bit onto my lid, just a little bit. I think I already said that I have eyeshadow primer on, but if I didn't, then that's important to note that I do already have eyeshadow primer on. And I know many of you have already heard this before, but for any of my new people, the reason why I do a concealer on top of a primer is that my lids are so oily that if I don't do that, if I just use a concealer or a MAC paint pot, the eyeshadow won't last. I have to use a eyeshadow primer, and then I like to use a concealer just to even out the skin on the lid to get rid of like that kind of veiny purpley look. So it's all one uniform color. The next step is to take a flat shader brush, and I'm gonna go into the shade Weekender. It's a matte light beige, and it's not really as pigmented as I thought it would be. So I'm taking that color and placing it all over the lid to set my concealer. Now, because I have very hooded, smallish eyes, I'm going to be doing my lid color first, especially because I want the lid color to be very vibrant and stand out. I'm going to start with that because it also gives me a guideline of where I'm gonna put that transition color, how high to take it up. I'm going to be taking this Bare Minerals tapered eyeshadow brush, and I'm using the shade Big Sky. And I'm placing this all over my lid. Now, as you can see, with a brush, it's not as pigmented as I have seen in other videos. I don't know why, maybe it's this brush, but I did try using one other similar brush, and it was the same kind of thing. You really had to build it up when using a brush to get that intense pigment, but if I use my finger, it comes out a lot better. Really, really pigmented when you use your finger. So then I'm going back in with the brush and taking it all the way up into that crease or lack of crease. And I don't have my concealer on yet because, as you can see, there's a little bit of fallout. So I'm putting that up into the crease inner to outer corner. Now I'm going to be doing my transition color using the Morphe M330 brush and using the shade Still Shot. I'm placing it in a windshield wiper motion back and forth through my crease. So as you can see, I've gone in about 3 times to get that pigment. Now using a different flat shader brush, this is just one that came in an Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. I'm gonna go into the shade Breakaway, and I'm going to place that right under the arch of my brow. I'm kind of stamping it in that area. And this color has some nice pigment to it. It's not like a stark white, it's like an off-white, which I think is easier to work with and a lot more flattering than a stark white. Now for my outer corners, I'm using this shade right here called Wild Heart. And this is a Sigma E47. And I'm placing that right on the outer corners, making little circles, kind of defining that V shape. And then when I have very little left on the brush, I kind of swipe it into the crease. Now I want to warm up the crease a little bit more. I'm using the shade Baja, and I'm using the same Morphe 330 brush. And I'm taking that and going right into the crease. Actually a little bit higher than the crease, in between the Still Shot and Breakaway color. And this color is really pigmented. Now it's time for a little eyeliner. I'm using the Physicians Formula Booster Pen. And because I have such a small lid space, I want to make the eyeliner really thin, get it really, really close to my lash line. I don't want to take over the pretty teal color. So now that the majority of the eye is done, I'm going to go back in with my finger and the Big Sky color and touch it up. And don't worry if you get a little bit on the eyeliner. It's okay. You can always just go back and touch it up real quick. Now I'm taking the wipe and cleaning up the fallout and perfecting my wing. Taking my All Hours concealer again, I'm applying that to my dark circles, blending out with my Beauty Blender. Now I'm using this pencil from the collection called Overdrive, and I am applying that to my lower lash line. Then I'm taking a pencil brush. This is an old one from MAC. I don't think they make it anymore. And smudging it out. Next, I'm taking one of my favorite brushes for the lower lash line. It is the Stila Dual Brush number 28. Going back in with Wild Heart and smudging out the teal liner. And I'm also taking it with this brush back in the outer corner to deepen it a little bit. Now I'm taking the shade Stranded with another pencil brush, and I'm applying that to the tear duct area. Taking my Charlotte Tilbury Rock and Coal pencil in Bedroom Black, and I am tightlining. Now I'm taking the Mally Beauty Smoky Mama mascara and applying that to my top and bottom lashes. Now, because I really don't want any big lashes overpowering all the pretty colors we have going on the lid, I'm going to be using some cluster lashes. These are from Ardell. I put a little bit of glue in one of the wells. I let it sit for about 30 seconds, and I start placing them on the corner of my eye first, And don't put too much glue on it. This is about how much you want. And then once the glue dries, I'm gonna go over with just a little mascara. All right, it's time to finish off the face. I've already done one side's blush and highlight, but for my foundation, I used the Lawless Woke Up Like This in Arizona. For my contour, I used Kevyn Aucoin's Sculpting Powder in medium. For my blush, I'm using Marc Jacobs Flesh and Fantasy. Because with so much going on the eyes, I want just a soft neutral color. For my highlight, I'm using Persona's Cali Glow in Zuma. For my lips, I'm using the 24/7 lip liner in Liar. The lipstick is from the Born to Run collection. It's a Comfort Matte and the shade is 66. Very creamy, very pigmented. Like a purpley color, a mauvey, purpley. Goes very well with the liner. I think I want to lighten it up a little bit and add a little gloss. So I'm going to use the, what is this called? I think it's called Hi-Fi Shine, and this is Midnight Cowgirl. I love the way these glosses smell. All right, doing a little hair fluff, and we are done. As for the palette, I would say that overall, I do like it. Is it the creamiest, most pigmented palette I've ever tried? No. The shimmers are pretty pigmented overall. Like I just swatched Drift, and let's try Radio. Here's Radio. They're really nicely pigmented. Big Sky, I felt wasn't as pigmented as it could be. Even using my finger, it's not quite as pigmented as the others. Double Life is gorgeous. And that one also is pigmented. Something about this Big Sky that isn't quite doing it for me. Let's try the shade Good As Gone, which is the deep brown. Ooh, now that's really pigmented. And then let's try Guilt Trip, which is a purple. Oh, that's pretty. Baja, I already used in the tutorial, and that was definitely pigmented, definitely. How bright is this burgundy color? Ooh, that's really pigmented. So for the most part, they are pretty pigmented. There's a few that could stand to be a little bit more pigmented, but I would say just 3 or 4 out of the 21. All the others are really, really nice. The shadows also do feel very dry to the touch, which I'm not used to because I'm used to using Lorac or Anastasia Beverly Hills, and they're a lot creamier. So these are pretty dry to me, but the shade selection I think is beautiful. There's not a lot of cool tones in this, and I know I've heard from a lot of my viewers that they're really hoping that sometime will come out with a really nice cool palette, or at least one that has warms and cools. You could do a cooler look with this using Drift or Guilt Trip, but it would be sort of dramatic. There's not really a light transition color in here. I suppose you could try to use Weekender, but I would say that if they added like one more color, maybe swapped out one for just a little bit lighter, one shade lighter than Riff, so it would work better as a transition color on somebody who is more fair to light. I did say in the beginning that Urban Decay sent me this palette in PR, but I was contemplating buying it. And I watched, like you're doing, I watched some videos and I looked at swatches, and I'm gonna answer the question of, had I paid for it myself, would I be happy with my purchase or would I be regretting it? And I have to play with it. I have to play with it a few more times. That's why I didn't label this, I didn't call this a review because I really feel like I need to use it a little bit more to really form that opinion. But I will say that after playing with it just this one time so far, that I'd be happy with my purchase. I'd be glad I bought it because I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the looks that I can create with this. So I'm gonna follow up with you guys in a couple of weeks or a week or so because I'm gonna use it for the next few days, and then you will find out my thoughts if it ends up in my June favorites and fails. Because if I use it for the next few days and I love it, you know it's gonna end up in my June favorites. So stay tuned for an update, but so far so good. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Everything is Risa Does Makeup. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again very soon.